What is up, ladies and gents? Welcome back to Chair to Face Wrestling Podcast with your hosts, Chrissy and Chris. Took a little hiatus, my friends. It had been about 2 weeks since we had an episode. My bad. That's
Two
my
weeks
bad.
too long. That's okay.
Yeah, yeah. And we got a lot to cover in a short period of time. But if anybody knows, we're going to get right to the nitty gritty and just hop on in there.
Done.
Um, so last episode we kind of jumped in introduction. It was a little long. But of course, when we talk about wrestling, we go for it.
Yeah, these things tend to drag on a little bit.
Yeah, but that's all right.
Yeah.
Um, for starters, I would like to first welcome everybody back, which I already did that. First episode, not too bad for a first episode.
No joke, man. Huge shout out to you guys, man. Thank y'all so much for what is it, like a dozen subscribers? I mean,
Yeah,
that's kind of wacky from one episode. Got a lot of good feedback from it.
yeah, we
Pretty
really
cool.
did. We really did. I would like to also shout out everybody. We are on Spotify and we are on YouTube, obviously. So feel please like, comment, subscribe, share. Share to your best friend, share to your mama down the street, share to your cousin, share to your nephew, whatever. Share to your worst enemy because they might need a chair to the face at some point.
Yeah, there you go. Sweet.
Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe. And if you don't feel like watching it visually, hop over to Spotify and listen to it in the car ride to work, car ride to pick up the kids from school, what have you. All right, so let's get into it. We are so close to WrestleMania now.
Can feel it, man. It is close and it's getting good. It's getting
It
good.
Yeah, everything is starting to hit that WrestleMania climax. Everything's business is picking up as
Yeah.
usual. And we saw that today with Monday Night Raw, which we've been seeing it for the past couple weeks with their European tour. It's been phenomenal to watch.
Absolutely.
So last week we had the contract signing with that man that's on your shirt, Seth freaking Rollins. Roman Reigns, acknowledge him. And of course, my guy, CM Punk. Emotional night. I was so excited that he finally gets his WrestleMania main event moment. And to say the least, that it's just a homecoming. I've been watching CM Punk since day one when he came into WWE. I'm super excited to see him in this main event. I'm excited to see all three of these guys work together. And let me just say, Seth Rollins had his little tantrum. Like he didn't throw any tables at any fans or anything, but he just threw his little tantrum. He didn't get his way, and that's okay because my boy deserves it.
There's no question. There's no question that he deserves it, okay? And what a moment between him and Paul Heyman. That was one of the coolest real moments they've had in quite some time. I mean, that there were I mean, you could see CM Punk was visibly emotional, and that's why Seth's so great, man. Say, wipe those tears out of your eyes, man. It was so great. And Roman's just sitting there with those big old white teeth of his, just smiling at everybody like, y'all are so freaking beneath me. It was so great, man. Like those three are going to work absolute magic at WrestleMania. I am as excited for that match as I am for the other main event, which we'll get into later on. But look, to me, this match is so cool because the build has been so good and all three of them don't really like each other and they're kind of intertwined but they're not intertwined, like it's weird, and I don't know who's going to win. Like
So
I don't know what's gonna happen. Like obviously you got the I don't have I mean CM Punk's never really an underdog, but the whole Cinderella story of he goes away for a decade, comes back, gets hurt, and then main events WrestleMania and wins. Roman could return to dominance, and Seth is kind of the dark horse in all of this because you know he is still Seth Rollins, and so I am I am super excited. That may be the match that I'm the most excited for. It's gonna be so great, and yeah, that the contract signing was pretty cool.
yeah, I know for a fact going into this, I'm super pumped about it. It is going to be mwah, c'est bon. I to start off with the whole CM Punk leaving the company and everything 10 years ago, which if you're not a wrestling fan, I'll kind of go into it and I could be missing some things. So feel free to do your own research if you want to just fact check. CM Punk started off in the indies, obviously. Every wrestler starts off somewhere. Punk has the reputation of the best in the world, and there is a reason he is the best in the world. However, once he came into the WWE, I feel like he didn't get much of that push. And of course, you're going to get really upset about that because you're doing everything. You're giving it your all every single night, every single week. And then we see the pipe bomb uh, fiasco where Punk just goes completely off script and just is laying into everybody in the company. He's like, I'm not on your souvenir cups. I'm not on your little pamphlets. I'm busting my butt doing all these things. And while you're laying there in the ring, John Cena, I'm going to just talk for a minute. These people in the back don't do X, Y, and Z. He brought up Vince McMahon, which now we're kind of seeing some things coming out about Vince McMahon, which if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about wrestling.
100%.
Can it's a very elephant in the room type of situation. But if it wasn't for Vince McMahon, we wouldn't be here.
100%.
That is why Punk left. He chose to leave because, yes, he loved what he was doing, but he did not love who he was working with. And he said, all right, I can't do this anymore. I'm out. He came back, which that ruffled feathers, obviously, with that man that's on your shirt, you know, but he came back and he said, look, I left, I own up to my mistakes, and I'm here again. And I'm not here to make friends, I'm here to make money.
Yeah, so I think people, and you didn't miss the mark, but I think a lot of people do miss the mark on the whole CM Punk leaving and then the Seth Rollins' angle towards CM Punk. So Punk and Vince never saw eye to eye, ever. And obviously Vince was the one making the decisions backstage and in creative, he was the final say and all this kind of stuff. And it took Triple H getting into a position of power within the company to get CM Punk that push. When Triple H came out and quote unquote fired Vince McMahon and all this, it's 13 years ago. You got to go watch it. But it took somebody besides Vince to push Punk and get him to where he was unquestionably the guy. And look, you're 100% right. The guy is phenomenal in the ring. He's phenomenal on the microphone and has deserved this for quite a long time. But Seth, his angle of it, and again, I've said on the record before that I understand where Seth is coming from. That Punk, it's not so much that Punk left, and it's not really even so much that Punk left and joined the competition. It's that when Punk left, he absolutely shat on the WWE. And he did.
Yeah.
You can go watch interviews, you can go watch segments in AEW that Punk did about WWE.
Yeah,
Like,
mad shit talked about the company, which
Yeah.
a lot of people can understand the anger behind Seth Rollins, which that is basically why him and Punk hate each other, is because you left this company. I put this company on my back for X amount of years. I put my body through this, and you talk shit about it. Then you decide to come back and think that everything's just hunky dory when in
And reap
reality
the
it's not.
rewards
Mm-hmm.
of our hard work, right?
Right.
So there is a valid, understandable disdain there. Now, we know that privately those two guys have probably sat down by now and said, "Look, let's let's put the BS aside, okay? You did what you did. I don't like it." Punk probably apologized in his own way. Clearly they're past, if they weren't past it, they wouldn't be working
Right.
this close together this many times, right? You do what's best for business, Stephanie McMahon quote, but you when you really don't like somebody, you're not going to voluntarily work with it. I mean, we've seen it happen countless times, okay? But I think that Punk, he fits in WWE. It's always where he's belonged. I don't think he was given the push at first, but I also don't know if CM Punk really knew who CM Punk truly was yet. Like when he made, and we talked about this on the first episode in minor detail, when he made that flip to the cult of personality, that was like, oh, he's got something here. This is cool. Like I know that song. That's a famous song. That's a song that's got a lot of hidden meanings in it. There's like, okay, that and he getting fresh haircut, clean shaven beard. He didn't have the big old thing that he had in the straight edge society. I mean, different look, different style. That he 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 found himself. Like that's who he needs to be, and that's who he still is. He's still got the same theme song, still got the same looks. I mean, look, the guy is a future Hall of Famer. The guy is set in stone as one of the, I don't know, 3 to 5 best ever on the microphone. I mean, I'd put him right up there with The Rock and Ric Flair and I mean Jericho. Like the guy is amazing. There's no doubt about it. And he absolutely deserves the main event. I don't know if he's going to win. It's kind of trending like he probably will, but could there be a turn? Could there be a Heyman screw job? Could there be a like
A
there's a
favor
Paul?
that he's been asking for.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like I think Heyman's gonna play some type of role in that match. Um, but I look, that's what WrestleMania is supposed to be about. You're not supposed to be able to predict it. You're not supposed to be able to, you know the outcome before it happens. And they've done a really great job. It's going to be a fantastic match. I can't wait.
I'm so excited. And because I wrote this last week, half of this doesn't even matter anymore, but we're just going to go with it.
Okay.
John Cena and Cody Rhodes, that has been heating up. It has been getting
Mhm.
so good. Last week, I had wrote on my little notes about I need Cody to really step up his. This is what's in my notes is I need Cody to step up his roast game because my boy could roast John Cena if he really wanted to. And here we are. Tonight's episode, which was today's
Mhm.
episode, was amazing. The man was like, "You could, I have a lisp. I have this. This is
Mhm.
what's going on. You could attack me for this, but you're choosing not to do this." And then John Cena jumps in with his whole spiel and just Cody cooking him and saying things about his. It was amazing to watch. I felt like I was in between two people roasting each other in a high school parking lot. I was like, oh, he went there. He said something about Zac Efron and how he really wishes he was with Zac Efron. Then he said something about Ben genitalia in his shorts being,
Mhm.
that was like the nail in the coffin for that moment. And then he put him in a crossroads and laid him out on his back.
We finally saw some action. There are a couple of first time things that happened in that 25-minute segment today. We finally saw some physicality, but more importantly than that, in my opinion, we finally saw John Cena verbally attack Cody Rhodes. For the last 2 or 3 weeks, Cena's been coming out and he's been addressing the crowd and he's been shitting on the audience and telling everyone it's their fault and it's, he hadn't said one bad word about Cody. And that changed today because Cody straight up told him, "You don't scare me. I'm not scared of you on the microphone. I'm not like these other ones. You can't bury me." And he's right. That's the whole thing about this is that Cody Rhodes is right. John Cena can't bury him. Cody Rhodes is the champion. He is as big as just about any star has ever been. Um, I thought the segment was great. I thought it ended the right way with Cody giving John the crossroads. I thought John's performance was good. Here comes my butt. I, I have a very controversial, very unpopular opinion about the whole Cena Cody thing. Um, and I know that this is geared to bolster Cody, right? Like John's on his way out, okay, and so Cody's in his prime, and everything is geared for Cody to benefit. But I just I don't buy the heel Cena thing. It feels to me, it feels forced. It feels it's awkward to me. This is just me. This is not right or wrong. This is just as somebody that's been watching Cena since literally day one. The whole thing kind of feels forced because he can't say anything bad about Cody because he doesn't dislike Cody. And we know what his true feelings are toward the audience. And it's not what he's projecting. Because for 20 years, he's said the opposite, right? And you can't really compare anything that Cody's done to what John did because Cody left. And Cena did hit on a few points in his promo. I mean, I thought Cody won the battle, obviously, but Cena did hit on a couple of points, and one of them was that Cody had to leave. Whether that was because of creative, whether that was because of Cody himself, whether for whatever, Cena's never left. Cody had to find himself, and he did it elsewhere, and then he came back. And to his credit, he has taken it and absolutely run with it, and he's phenomenal. He is the man no doubt about it. But Cena never left. Cena dealt with the BS, and he dealt with the bad gimmicks, and he dealt with the bad booking, and he did make a mountain out of a molehill. And he did make the WWE billions of dollars, as he referred to. He's right about all of that, which is why I go back to what I said 2 weeks ago on the show. It is going to be very difficult for the WWE to take that belt off of Cody Rhodes. It is going to be very difficult to pass that John Cena is this bad, maniacal, sadistic son of a you know what when he's not that. And he doesn't dislike Cody. Like, I'm sitting there watching this segment earlier. And again, I'm not shitting on John's performance. His performance was great. Okay.
Absolutely.
But it's the part where he gets in Cody's face and he points at the belt and he says, "You having that makes me sick," or whatever he said. And I'm sitting here going, but 350 days ago, you came down to the ring and helped him win it. So now all of a sudden in the last year, which you haven't really even been here, now all of a sudden you dislike him holding the belt. It doesn't, it's not going over for me to
Right.
for the lack of a better term. Because, and here I go again on one of my tangents, Cena is not the enemy. We talked about this last time. Cena is being told what to say by The Rock. The Rock is the one, I will die on this hill. The Rock is the one that wants to get to Cody Rhodes. What, Christina, what reason does John Cena have to hate Cody Rhodes? None. He's got none. He's
Yeah.
got none. Like, there's no personal animosity between them. They talked about their history today. Cody would drive Cena around. They sang together. They hung out together. They're friends. Like, he's got no personal animosity or beef and no reason to dislike him. So all the things that's why he didn't talk about Cody's lisp. That's why he didn't insult Cody about anything super personal, is because he's got no reason to dislike the guy. It's his boss. It's their boss that has the reason to dislike him, because The Rock has never received payback for Cody stealing his main event last year. I will die on the hill that at some point the Rock inserts himself into this. And I don't know if it's going to be in the next 3 weeks. I don't know whether it's going to be after Mania if Cena wins the belt. I have a hard time believing that they're going to give Cena that belt. You said this last time. Think about the best heels ever, right? Think about NWO Hogan. Think about Randy Orton, Ric Flair, Triple H in the Attitude Era and Evolution. What do all of those guys have in common? Nobody likes them. They're hateable. They do hateable things. They say hateable things. They're hateable characters. Even today on Raw, you got half the crowd chanting Cena sucks and half the crowd chanting let's go Cena. He You can't pass him as a heel, because the we had all, like, when Triple H went started Evolution, like 03-ish, right? Triple H had always been a selfish prick, is what he was. He played that character in the Attitude Era. And so it wasn't a surprise to see Triple H being a selfish prick, because that's what we had already known him to be. We've never known John Cena to be like this. And I know that that's part of it, right? He's transforming himself. I just, it's not going over on me. And I don't think it's not John's fault. I don't think it's anyone's fault. I just think they have another Stone Cold Steve Austin issue on their hands. When they tried to turn Austin heel, when he joined up with Mr. McMahon at WrestleMania against The Rock, they tried to turn Austin heel and it didn't work, because Austin's just not a heel. There's too many people that love him. Too many of us love John Cena. Like, great segment, but I'm the more and more I think about it, the harder for me it will be to take that belt off of Cody at Mania.
I will continue to say this. There is no way on God's green earth that John Cena is walking out of WrestleMania with that belt. Now, also, he is maintaining that heel composure. The dude literally broke up with half of us by saying, I'm not the problem, you're the problem. You guys have bullied me. You guys have done this. You guys have done that for 20 plus years. And you see the tears in his eyes. Like I could
Mm.
see it. I could see that he was so emotional through it. He literally broke up with all of us. It was a surprise for me. I was like, I didn't get this breakup text or this breakup phone call at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. This is weird for me. Can we have a private conversation, John Cena? Because you're not supposed to break up with us, you know? But he is maintaining it. But there's no way on God's green earth that that man is going to walk out of WrestleMania with that title. 100%.
Well, it's like, if he does, where does it go?
It goes
Like
nowhere.
that's what I'm saying. Like, do you really sacrifice? Like, Cody is super hot right now.
Mm,
Like, Cody, Cody Rhodes, Cody, like that. Like, that's like, who gets that reaction? Very few.
mhm.
Like I could tell you on one hand, the guys that I have seen get that type of reaction. Like, Cena used to get that reaction. Shawn Michaels got that kind of reaction. Like very The Undertaker. Like few guys get that type of reaction. So to take that belt, if Cena, I think it would be different if Cena was going to be completely full time. Like, if Cena was going to be full time until his departure, then I'd be like, okay, they could make something out of it. But he's already said he's taking the belt and leaving. Like, he wins the belt, he's done what he wanted to do, and he's gone. So it's like, do you really stop the momentum that Cody has built in favor of another Hollywood champion? I just, it's hard for me to see. And look, I love John, and I will love John until the day I die. John is, he's top 10 in my list. Like, he's just amazing, and he is doing everything that he's supposed to be doing as a heel. It's just not, to for me, it's not working. And that's an unpopular opinion, because there's a lot of people that do believe it's working, and there's a lot of people that are buying into it. But I've watched this guy for 20 years, and it feels that's the word that I go back to. It feels forced. because this is not a natural thing for Cena, and it's probably him that made the decision that to do this heel thing. But I just eh, I I think I am leaning Cody. Like I think Cody's gonna win.
Yeah, I've been saying that from the
You
jumping
did.
point,
Said it two
for a
weeks
couple
ago.
weeks. I've been saying it for a couple
Yeah.
weeks. And then even beforehand, when we had Elimination Chamber and John Cena came into the mix, I'm like, they're not gonna do this to Cody.
I mean, it's
Cody has too
too
much
hot right
momentum
now.
and he's too
Exactly.
popular with everybody. They're not
Yeah.
gonna take the belt from him.
I mean, for what? What is it like? Who does Cena fight next? Like, I mean, because he can't retire with the belt unless he does. Or I mean, I don't. Again, the unpredictability of it is nice because you don't really know what's going to happen. But I just, I mean, it would be different if the crowd was split on Cody. Like, if 95% of the audience was not chanting Cody's name, it'd be different. But like everywhere they go, whether it's overseas, whether it's here, the dude gets a standing O everywhere he goes, and he gets his name chanted and his theme song sung to. And like, you don't you don't break that momentum. Like if I'm writing it, I I can't, like, the best way for Cody to go over is to beat John Cena. Like if you really want to solidify Cody, you really want Cody to be considered up there with the greats, let him beat Cena. But the other part of me goes, I know Cena, this is not Cena's last match. Cena's got 6 more months of this farewell tour. So if he loses at WrestleMania, well, then, like, what was the point of him winning Elimination Chamber? What was the point? I mean, does he not win a 17th title? Because I personally, and you may disagree with this, I personally think he deserves to break the record. I've said for a long time that if there's anybody that's going to break Ric Flair's record, it's John Cena. Like I think he's the guy to do it. But you got to take the belt in order for Cena to win that title. You've got to take the belt off of Cody. I mean, I just don't think you can do it right now at the expense of Cody Rhodes. I don't know.
I definitely want to know what our viewers feel, and
Yeah,
what they think. You know,
agreed.
for you, a 17th title for John Cena, that it seems plausible, and I'm not 100% doubting that. But Randy Orton, he had a segment with Cody this past week.
Hmm.
That man, I could see him taking the belt from Cody. That was something that I had been thinking about because it's Randy Orton. The man's awesome. Despite his heel, he is an amazing heel, but the man is also deserving of another title shot, I think.
Oh, I 100% agree with that. It's just, again, at the expense of Cody. I just, that's the caveat in all of this is like, yeah, Cena deserves to break the record. And yeah, Orton deserves a 16th or 15th, whatever it is, because he's right up there too. But do we take the belt off of Cody for that? That's the battle you're fighting. And it's a good problem to have because Cody, look, that segment today, oh my God. Cody is so good. And I'm gonna go here. God rest his soul. Cody would run circles around his dad. Like and that's a bold statement, and that's gonna get a lot of comments and a lot of hate probably. I said what I said. Cody would run circles around his dad. I just don't see how you take the belt off of him unless Cena wins, right? The only scenario I can see right now. Now, again, maybe something develops over the next 2 weeks because that's how long we've got. Okay. If Cena cheats to win, which he's never done, that would be another first, and runs away, does a CM Punk, runs out of town with the belt. Remember that as long as Cena's champion, Cody's got a rematch clause. And if Cody comes out over the following weeks and just lays into Cena, lays into him, attacks him professionally, personally, just says all kinds of dirty, nasty crap about Cena, and it pulls Cena in. And the fighter in John Cena, the real John Cena that is down here deep, that doesn't let anybody get away with talking shit about him. He says, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna go shut him up. And then Cody wins it back. Like, I don't know where it goes if Cena takes the belt off of Cody right now.
It's
But
a very unpredictable scenario.
Randy is an interesting thought. It's just that's another one that Randy and Cody, like, yeah, it would be full circle, but also, like, Randy is Cody's mentor. And so it's like, do you have that? I don't, Cody's kind of, and it's a compliment to Cody. He's kind of in a class by himself right now.
Yeah. Um, I'm just, what's happening next? You know,
Mm,
what is going to happen with this story as it develops in the next 2 weeks is anybody's guess.
yeah, exactly.
And it's the same thing right now. As we can see, I predict maybe an implosion of the Judgment Day. I'm calling it. I called the New Day. I said something was going to happen. Either Xavier Woods was going to turn on Kofi Kingston or vice versa. Did not see them turning on Big E,
Mm,
but I called it. And I'm calling this because every time Dirty Dominic Mysterio gets his hands on that Intercontinental title and he is looking at it and Braun Breaker, the wheels are turning in his head. And I
mhm.
can see the implosion right now with between Finn Balor and the rest of Judgment Day. Kind of saw that today in the segment. I'm calling it. I think Dirty Dom might be turning on Finn Balor at some point. I'm seeing something. There's some kind of tension between the two. We see it all the time in wrestling, especially with organizations like this. Somebody is, I'm so much better than you, and
Mm.
you're down here, and me. And then that person gets tired of it and just turns. So
Yeah,
that's
sure.
something I had been thinking about recently,
Yeah, no,
storyline wise.
I completely agree. I think it's been headed that way for quite a while. My one real comment on this is that for me, I just think that, and to his credit, he's accepted this role and he's played it well. But people forget, man, Finn Balor's a world champion. Like Finn is, he's really good. And to me, he's not in the spotlight nearly enough. To me, he's underutilized. And again, I know he's accepted that role as, the Judgment Day after they turned on Edge and all that. Okay. But I just think there's more for Finn.
Yeah.
And so I think, yeah, what I see, it's kind of what you were saying. Dom's going to piss Finn off, and Finn's finally just going to freaking knock his lights out. because there's a whole bunch of people that are like, Finn, go back to being yourself. Go back to the demon Finn Balor. Go back to being, what we know you to be. And I feel like Dom's just going to piss him off because that's what Dom does. And Finn's just going to knock his lights out. And that's going to be an automatic face turn. And it's going to implode the Judgment Day. And yeah, I'm with you on that completely. I would like to see it, and I'd like to see Dom get out on his own. I'd like to see Dom get out on his own. I would love to see Finn return to, main events. I would love to see Finn be utilized properly because the Judgment Day thing has been cool, but it's time.
Yeah,
It's like you said, you can sense it. It's time.
yeah. I definitely feel like Finn Balor is in a class in his own from Judgment Day. Don't get
Oh
me
yeah.
wrong, there is some. You got Liv Morgan, you got Raquel Rodriguez, you got Carlito, you have Dominic Mysterio, and then also you have JD McDonough, who's been out for injury. They all have their own like their own single spark that they
Mhm.
could just, we know this to be true. We've seen Liv Morgan go from the Riot Squad into her own single and just dominate. Same thing with Finn. Finn, for the longest time, has just been a class of his own. And you're right, he's not being utilized as much as he deserves to be utilized. So I'm really hoping that WWE starts kind of throwing the man a bone,
I think they
even a
will.
little bit,
Look,
you know?
WrestleMania is kind of the place that things end, right?
Yeah.
Like rivalries come to an end and so do factions. Like we've seen factions break up and tag teams break up at WrestleMania and this would be the perfect opportunity. Yeah, there's the Intercontinental title aspect to it as well, but um I'm with you. I think the story is going to be more about coming out of WrestleMania. It's going to be less about the Intercontinental title and more about, hey, the Judgment Day. I'm with you on that completely.
I see this leading into SummerSlam,
Oh yeah.
my
Oh
personal opinion. And then, of course, we talked about Punk. We talked about the contract signing leading into that triple threat. We thought we were going to have a triple threat with Rhea, Io, and Bianca. Now,
right. Yeah.
where the hell do we go now?
Right. Yeah. That's
So,
I
to
I am contrary to the Cody John thing. I really like the build up for this match. Um, that's a great question. Um, I I think, oh boy, I don't see how you don't make it a triple threat. Like all three of them have to be involved somehow. Like I don't see. I am still of the mindset. I can't believe that they took the belt off of Rhea as close to Mania as they did. It's very rare to see. Um, But look, Io's great, and Bianca is Bianca. So I just feel like the right way to go is the triple threat. I don't see how you leave one of those pieces out. I mean, clearly Io can't be out because she's champ. Bianca earned her shot in the chamber. If anybody doesn't get in, it's Rhea. But you don't keep freaking Rhea Ripley off of WrestleMania. So I think really the only logical way to go is the triple threat.
and that's what I, after that amazing match
Yeah,
that Rhea and
was.
Io put on, back and forth counters with
Yeah,
different
right.
move sets, um, leaving Rhea Bloody Ripley mommy out of the Mania mix is just sacrilegious.
Yeah, he can't do it.
The
Can't.
woman, I the woman is a beautiful woman and I love her and I need her to be in Mania because
She's
it's not Mania without mommy.
No, no, you can't. She's too good. She's too beloved by the fans. She's too ah you can't do it. I don't know. Like I said, I lean toward the triple threat because that I mean, I feel like that's what gives you the best ratings. That's what gives you the best I mean, we want to see these three ladies go at it and may the best one win kind of thing, because I like Io, I love Bianca, and I love Rhea. Like I don't have a one that I'm really pulling for. Like it's one of those matches, and these are the best types of matches to me that you don't really care who wins. Like you may have, yeah, I mean, I guess my favorite out of those three would be Rhea or whatever. But it's like if Bianca wins, are we really upset about it? No. If Io retains, Io's great. Sweet. It's like you can't go wrong with any of the outcomes. And those are the best types of matches to me. So it's to me, it's triple threat or nothing.
Yeah. These ladies are definitely kicking it up. Um, I am biased. I'm fine with either three of them being a world champion. I love Io. I love how her character has developed and how she is coming into her own as a singles competitor. She is knocking it out of the ballpark,
Oh, she's amazing.
literally knocking it out of the ballpark. Anytime she jumps off the top rope, it's magic. We've seen her in Survivor Series War Games with trash cans over her and jumping from the top of the steel cage.
Yeah. Hmm.
Phenomenal. Bianca, same thing. She is an amazing competitor. She is
Yeah.
so athletic
Bianca
and
as an
knows her way
athlete.
in that ring.
Yeah.
I am a mommy person. I love Rhea. She is so dominant and brutal that you just can't deny her. But I'm
Yeah.
fine either way with it. And with us 2 weeks to Mania, it's got to go swing to a triple threat.
Yeah. I mean, it has to. Like, there's no other because you can't leave any. I mean, like I said, you can't leave any of them out, and so it's to me, it's triple threat or nothing.
Right. And with this Mania storylines galore, tonight's match with Jimmy Uso and Gunther.
And ooh,
Lord have mercy.
that was something.
That was a great match,
Yeah,
by
it
the
was.
way. Anytime Gunther gets into the ring, I think is just a great match. The man is really, really incredible in the ring.
He is.
If I'm not mistaken, I think his dad was a wrestler at one point in
Yeah.
Germany as well. So it just runs in his blood to be brutal. He's
Yeah.
amazing. Him tying Jay to the ropes with zip ties and letting Jay watch him brutalize his brother, and Jay saying, "Wait till I get off I'm going to beat your ass,"
Mhm.
basically. I cannot wait until Mania because I feel like now this has finally sunk into Jay's mind and is getting him out of his own head. And it's, well, now I have to have retribution for my brother because you beat the crap out of him in front of me. And now I got to kick your ass.
Right. Yeah, it goes back to the family thing with those damn Samoans, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
they're so Jay, as we have noticed in the last couple of weeks, and maybe this is just me, but I have kind of noticed that Jay's getting a little lost in his hype, and it's all well deserved. Don't get me wrong. Jay's earned it, okay? But it has been an avalanche for Jay because a year ago, 2 years ago, this was not his life. He was not a world title guy. There was no yeet. There wasn't any of that. Exactly. There wasn't any of that, 2 years ago, as recently as 2 years ago. He was living a completely different life. He was in the shadow of Roman Reigns, which is a huge shadow, and was struggling to get out of it and find himself. Now, and he's found himself, And everybody's gotten behind him, and everybody likes him, and everybody wants to see him win. But he's gotten a little bit lost in his own hype. Like you said, he's a little in his own head, and he needed something to go, oh, okay. Because it wasn't personal till now. It was all about, can Jay overcome Gunther Mountain? Can Jay become the world champion? Can Jay finally beat Gunther? It was all professional. It was all wrestling based. Now it's hit a personal level, very personal, and it's given Jay an ulterior motive, like you said, but it's also shown us a side of Gunther that we really haven't seen. Like, we know Gunther's an ass kicker, right? Like we know how good he is in the ring, and but we've never seen him brutalize somebody, and we've never seen him be that vicious and that, you know, dead set on making a point and just absolutely brutalizing and terrorizing somebody. And he did, and it struck a chord in Jay, and that was the whole deal, right? Because we know what's going to happen at WrestleMania, okay? If there's one predictable match at WrestleMania, it's probably this one, okay? Jay's probably going to win, and he deserves to win, and he deserves to be world champion. But you're right. That was it was a get real moment for Jay. And I think he's going to use it as such. Look, those Samoans, man, when you mess with their family, it it's ball game. And Gunther might have there was a post, the WWE actually posted it on Facebook earlier. They showed the whole segment, the whole clip or whatever, and the caption was, "Did Gunther go too far?" Well, probably he has now.
He's about to get that Samoan butt whipping.
Well, right, exactly, because now it's personal. And when you get personal with the Samoans, it usually doesn't end very well.
Yeah, if my boy Yeet does not win at WrestleMania and there is no Yeet, I'm rioting.
Yeah, well, it's kind of written in the stars, man. I
I
mean,
would like all of my Usos to get Usi with me and we're gonna go riot.
yeah, I don't I personally don't think you'll have to worry about that because Jay is he's earned it, man. And how long is he going to be world champion? Is he really truly going to be a viable world champion? Is he going to have a long, drawn out reign? Is he going to? I have no idea. I have no idea. But that's really not what it's about. It's like I mentioned on the first episode of the podcast. He reminds me a lot of Edge, a guy that was a tag team wrestler, tag team specialist that nobody ever thought would be world championship material. And even when he won his first world championship, there was still a question of, Edge is the world heavyweight champion? Or Edge is the WWE champion? What? Edge? And then he kind of proved his doubters wrong and has become what he is today. Maybe the better example is Jeff Hardy. I mean, who'd have ever thought? And look, I'm a Hardy's guy, okay, and but I never dreamed that Jeff Hardy would ever be WWE champion because I just didn't think that that he had that personality to be himself and not be a hardy boy and be an individual and be man, he did. And let me tell you something. 2008 Jeff Hardy. Oh my God. That guy was so over. I was talking about Cody Rhodes earlier and how over Cody is. Jeff Hardy hit that in 2008, 2009. That dude was so over. It was unbelievable. But that's kind of who Jey Uso reminds me of. He's tag team wrestler. He's not supposed to be a world champion. Oh yeah? Watch this kind of thing. So I don't think you have to worry about I don't think you have to worry about that at all. I think it's written in the stars for Jay to win at Mania.
Oh, 100%. I mean, otherwise I'm just going to riot. It's fine. I
Well,
have
it's
the
the right move too.
I
I
have
think
the
it's the
riot
right move.
emergency kit ready.
Yeah, it's the right move.
And then with right now, so Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair, kind of either way. I'm loving Tiffany coming out into her own and becoming her own individual in the women's division. I love that she has a title. Charlotte, she's the queen. She has been from the jump amazing. Not just because she's Charlotte Flair and she's the daughter of Ric Flair, but she busts her tail. I don't know how this match is gonna go. Kind of pulling for Tiffy, but either way, not really too worried about it. I think Charlotte might get another title reign. And of course, we know that when Charlotte gets a title reign, it is a forever reign until someone beats her. But who knows?
So I'm gonna give you and the viewing public a little something to think about. Okay, Charlotte Flair would be considered in most people's eyes to be one of the top, I don't know, 3 or 4 women's wrestlers ever. She is a 15-time champion. Okay. Whether that's the women's championship, whether it's the women's whatever. Okay. She said 15 women's titles, right? Well, what happens if she wins one more? That's 16.
Yeah.
That ties her dad. This is one that I think is also kind of written in the stars. Look, I love Tiffany Stratton, but there's something about Charlotte Flair being legitimately hurt and not knowing if she was going to wrestle again. And I don't want to make it sound like Charlotte is the baby face and all of this. She is clearly the heel, okay? That's what she's good at. But there's something poetic about, to me anyway, there's something poetic about her being on the shelf and career ending injury, really, that you mentioned. She works her butt off and gets back to wrestling shape and goes to WrestleMania and ties her dad with 16 titles. That's a little poetic. Um, if Tiffany wins, great. I'm not upset by it. But if I were a betting man, and I might be, um, I would kind of lean I would kind of lean towards Charlotte Flair.
I did love seeing her come back to Royal Rumble after her injury because I know the last time we saw her was Survivor Series War Games when she
Yeah,
got that injury.
dude,
She hugged Becky Lynch, and then she's been on the shelf for what, about a year and a half or
that
so,
was
two
that
years, a
that
long
was
time.
a brutal injury.
Yeah. Either way, like I got goosebumps when you had talked about her and her dad tying. That would be
Poetic.
amazing.
It's poetic. I mean,
I'm fine either way.
that's one of those things like when you talk about like poetic or like meant to be or whatever, my mind immediately goes to Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 30. Like again, I was there. That was and look, I am a diehard Triple H guy, right? But that night I was like, this needs to be Daniel Bryan's night. Like there was something in the air and like Taker had just lost to Brock too, right? And so it was like, shit, I mean, we need to make up for this. And boy, they did. And so like the poetic thing, I just feel like kind of meant to be for Charlotte Flair at this point. But I do think that Tiffany Stratton is an amazing competitor. She's an amazing wrestler. She takes a lot of chances and a lot of risks that a lot of the women don't take. And man, she talk about over. Like Tiffany has done a really great job. And I don't know. Maybe I'm a Charlotte Flair fan, but it just makes sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And since, we do Rushmore on this
Uh-oh.
show and we have recapped most of the week, I would love to hear what everybody feels after the past couple weeks and what they feel going into WrestleMania. We are going to go ahead and segue into our Rushmore segment, which us wrestling fans, it's called Rushmore for a reason. Mount Rushmore is the top presidents. We wrestling fans use it as our top wrestlers. I figured we use it as our top matches, our top this, our top that. Why not?
The show. I love it.
So, my this is my take on my top four factions.
Oh, factions. Sweet. Okay.
So, tag teams, factions, and what does make a tag team great. That formula, that chemistry, I see it as that charisma, that willingness to know what the other person is thinking, to execute a move, and just to dominate in the ring. My first one up is the Four Horsemen. You got Ric Flair, who is a boss on the mic in his own class. The man is amazing. He will forever be on my one atop of many Mount Rushmores because it's Ric Flair. I
100%.
don't care what anybody says about the man. The man is phenomenal. Give
Shout
him a
out to the Nate.
microphone, woo, and it's
Shout out to
pure
the Nate.
gold.
I
You
love it.
got Arn Anderson,
Badass.
who was one of the key members. His technical skills in the ring were just superb.
Complete badass.
He was the enforcer of everybody in this faction. You have Ole Anderson. He was known for his hard nosed style in the
Yep.
ring. And then, of course, you have Tully Blanchard, who was also skilled in the ring, and he also was a key member. The Four Horsemen, if you ask anybody, they're one faction they say, if you ask them who one of their favorite tag teams are, they say the Four Horsemen. They were dominant. They were phenomenal. You
Hmm.
put you put Rick on the mic, gold. Arn
Yeah. Oh,
Anderson, gold. You just
yep.
have gold. You have Rolexes and limousines.
Yeah. Quite literally, actually.
Literally pure gold.
Limousine riding, jet flying. You know,
His stealing, wheeling, dealing son of a guns.
that's him. That's them.
And they are also Hall of Famers.
A good one.
Um, and you go into WCW, Arn Anderson had come back and put together the Four Horsemen. You had Arn Anderson, you had Chris Benoit, you had Dean Malenko, and I can't put my tongue on the other person. And I know the name is right there, and I just can't.
There's a couple. I mean, Barry
There's,
Windham.
yeah,
Barry Windham would be the first one that comes to my mind. Um, Barry Wind, J.J. Dillon. Uh, there's quite a few of them. there's like 10 or 11 four horsemen, but
Yeah, it's
there were
multiple.
also there were also like 10 or 11 or 16, whatever it is, members of the NWO. So,
Ooh,
you know,
yeah. And also something I found out, they have 50 total championship ring wins just collectively.
yeah.
50.
Yeah.
Eat your
But,
heart out, John
yeah,
Cena.
between all of them they've got 50. Yeah, that's a lot of gold, man.
So much gold, so much drip, as the young kids would say now. All the drip and all the riz.
Yeah.
My next one was the Heart Foundation. I am a Jim the Anvil Neidhart person. Shout out to Jim. Rest in peace. Bret
Another complete
Hart,
badass.
oh, such a badass. I did a lot of research on this. I did a lot of watching back on their promos, and Jim on the mic, just
Yeah.
golden.
Yeah.
His laugh was infectious.
Yeah,
I
it will.
bust out laughing a couple times watching him on the mic.
Yeah.
An absolute powerhouse in the ring. They were able to just kind of ping off of each other. So they had that chemistry to know what the other one was thinking.
Hmm.
Brett knew what Jim was thinking and vice versa. And then of course their accomplishments, they became two-time tag team champions, and then they added in Owen Hart, the British Bulldog Davy Jones, and Bill Pillman to the mix once Bret Hart had kind of turned heel and kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
stepped
Brian.
off in 97.
Yep.
Great faction. The next faction, which I think you're going to appreciate this, and I think anybody who grew up in the 90s will appreciate this, the Hardy Boys, Matt and Jeff Hardy. Look, if you didn't try to swan time off the top of a diving board at the local
Yeah.
pool as a kid, and now you're 30 with back issues,
Yeah. Were you even living?
were
Yeah,
you even living? Did you live under a rock? Please let me know in the comments.
100%.
They began in 1993 in the independent circuit. Obviously, they're brothers. Duh. Amazing. Just
Yeah. Oh, they were.
tables, chairs, ladders, extreme rules, doesn't matter. The Hardy Boys dominated. They became Team Extreme with Lita as their manager, and then 13-time tag team champions. They're still going at it today.
Mm.
Overall presence in the ring is just still jaw dropping. If anyone remembers specifically top moments with Edge and Christian,
Oh yeah.
Jeff dangling
TLC.
from the ring and Edge spearing him from the top of of
Never forget it.
you will never forget it. And if you grew up in that time, you know exactly what moment I'm talking about. It gave me goosebumps thinking about it.
TLC SummerSlam. I remember it.
That was just an amazing match. If you've never watched it, go back, look it up, and watch
Ah,
that
if
match.
you've never watched that, I don't care how young you are. If you've never watched that, you don't. That match specifically between the Hardys, ENC, and the Dudleys. That match specific, that is like a clinic in tag team wrestling. Like, yeah, every wrestling fan, no matter how young or old, should watch that match.
I 100% agree. I think that that needs to be everybody's homework, is to
Yeah.
go and watch that match. Any match, honestly, with the Hardys, excuse me, with the Hardys, with the Dudley Boys, with Edge and Christian. Go back and watch those matches. A lot of those matches are just
Oh, it's
facets of their
amazing.
own.
Amazing.
They are the reason that a lot of us got in trouble in school because we thought we could hit people with steel chairs and spear them through stuff.
Yeah, let me lay you on this table and do a cross body.
And
Yeah,
that's why I have back problems now.
yeah, exactly.
And then my final one, and this was hard for me because there's so many tag teams in my mind that I could think of, and it was hard for me to choose. I chose Evolution. You have
Thing?
four amazing men in this group. You have Triple H, who just amazing heel.
No
You've talked about it.
explanation
There's
needed.
no, the man is actually getting into the Hall of Fame in 2 weeks. Much
That's gonna
deserved.
be awesome.
Runs the company now, but would beat you with a sledgehammer, and JR would call him an SOB.
Yep.
So Triple H represented the present part in Evolution. You have Ric Flair, who is the past. He's the jet flying, Rolex wearing, limousine riding, wheeling, dealing, stealing, the whole nine, Ric
Yep.
Flair. Get him on the mic. And he's kind of like, if you think about it, he's kind of like the dad of these
Yeah.
men.
100%.
Anyone who goes into wrestling, I think they would name Ric Flair as part of their wanting to get into it, I'm
Oh
sure.
God. Yeah.
And if you don't, then I need you to rethink your wrestling
Yeah.
decisions as to why you want to be a wrestler.
Blair's. Yeah.
And then you also have Randy Orton and Batista, who
Mm,
represented the future. Randy Orton, if anybody doesn't know, is the son of Cowboy Bob Orton, who is also just amazing. They debuted in January of 2003, so a long time ago.
yeah.
Feels like yesterday, but it was a long time ago.
Hard to believe that was 22 years ago.
I remember when they came onto the scene with their theme music by
Yep.
Motorhead, which
Hmm.
is on my playlist that I listen to on the way to and from work sometimes.
Yep.
Each member of them just represented the best parts of the business at that time. And then, of course, hands down, they all kind of pinged off each other. They had that charisma, they had that je ne sais quoi.
Yeah.
They knew what the other was thinking. And then, of course, the implosion.
Yeah. Yeah.
The implosion of Evolution, it stems from Randy Orton winning the belt and then Triple H.
SummerSlam '04. Randy Orton beat Chris Benoit for the world title.
Yes, and
Became the
then
youngest world champion. And the next night on Monday Night Raw,
he
they're
does the thumbs
celebrating.
up and then
Triple H gave him the thumbs down, and
thumbs
Batista
down
went now, and Batista
now.
electric chaired him, and that was it.
And if,
Yep.
again, if you're too young to remember that, or you've never seen
Go
that,
watch it.
go back and watch The
One of
Turn.
the best segments in the history of wrestling.
And there's many best segments, but that one was
That
just,
was yeah.
and then of course Batista, that's part of the implosion itself. And then they kind of did their own thing.
Yep.
I really enjoyed Evolution during their run. I, as a kid, was like, oh my God, they're beating up on my favorite person. They're so horrible. Now, as an adult, I appreciate it because they did so many things for the business, and you wouldn't have a Judgment Day without Evolution.
Oh,
You
100%.
wouldn't have a New Day without Evolution.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have the Street Profits without Evolution, or the Heart Foundation, or even DX. You wouldn't have all these things without multiple factions. Not saying you wouldn't have DX without Evolution, but you wouldn't have DX. You wouldn't have Evolution without.
Right, exactly.
I
Yeah.
think is what I was meaning to say.
Yeah.
The words kind of got a little jumbled, but I knew what I wanted to say. Do you have any faction,
Well,
my
well,
friend?
it's funny that you said factions, and you had a tag team or a couple of tag teams in there, because I'm a traditionalist, and I'm a little specific with these kinds of things because I split the two. So I have a tag team list and I have a factions list. So to me, a tag team is two people, right? Now, there can be a tag team within a faction, like the Hart Foundation, Brett and Jim, right? But to me, like, a tag team is two people, a faction is three or more. Okay. And so I've always tried to do my lists very traditionally. I'll I'll run through I'll run through them. So tag teams to me is one of the easier ones to do ever. because it's pretty darn simple. Um, we grew up watching three of the four Rushmore tag teams, and those are the Dudleys. The Dudleys are number one. Like and no, I'm not a, I was not, I was much more a Hardy's fan than I was a Dudleys fan. The Dudley boys have won 31 tag team titles. 31. Okay. At some point, you know, okay. So the Dudleys and the Hardys and Edge and Christian. Those are three of my Mount Rushmore tag teams. Tables, ladders, and chairs. Okay. All three of those, they invented a match. When you invent a match, and it was so good, they did it twice. There was TLC, and then there was TLC 2. And they were both amazing. So that's three. The fourth tag team is very difficult because I could go a lot of directions with this. But I, out of pure respect for the history of the business and what these guys meant to tag teams, it has to be the Road Warriors.
Oh, and they were part of what I was thinking too. I
It,
love them.
it has to be Animal and Hawk. And they were a little bit before my time, but they were around in the 90s. And I watched them late, but I always went back and watched when they were in their prime. And let me tell you something, those guys were innovative, creative, ahead of their time. I mean, the face paint, the spikes on the shoulders, the ooh, what a rush. That is so, it's just ahead of their time. So, out of complete respect to them, I have to put them on there. The factions list is much more difficult because I'm a factions guy. I like tag teams, but I'm much more of a factions guy, which is why it's interesting that you combine the two. It's great.
Chrissy does Chrissy things.
This perfect. This is why this is your show. So I cannot start a factions list without Degeneration X.
Yes.
It is physically and emotionally impossible for me to do. Yes, my favorite wrestler of all time in invented DX, Shawn Michaels. Crucify me. Those guys were so edgy and they were so brutally shrewd, and it was must see television. I remember as a young child, like 3 and 4 years old, being absolutely fascinated that these guys came out on national television, pulled their pants down, and had DX painted on their ass. As funny as it is, nobody did that.
I remember their presidential address.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
They were the reason that you ended up in the principal's office.
And finally, I did not sleep with that young intern. As a matter of fact, I was up all night. You, you can't, you can't, you can't beat it. Driving the tank into WCW.
You
Triple
can't get
H,
away with that now.
Triple H on the freaking megaphone. And here we go. Tag team within a faction. How good were the freaking New Age Outlaws?
Oh,
O-Dog and Billy Gunn.
oh, you didn't know?
Yeah, exactly. Like how how great was China?
Oh God, rest her soul.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's literally five Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
And I know there are other factions that have more Hall of Famers than that. I get it. But those were five Hall of Famers in their prime. Triple H wasn't quite in his prime, but X Pac. I mean, DX was revolutionary television. And so I cannot start a factions list without DX at one. I love your four horsemen thing. I struggle with it because to me, again, just me, the great thing about DX is that they were all stars, right? Like there was not, yeah, Shawn was the WWF champion at the time, but they were all stars. To me, Ric Flair was so much better than the rest of the Horsemen. And that's not a knock on any of those guys. That's just how great Ric Flair was. So I may have them on there. If I do, they're four because the NWO is number two. And I think there is a considerable gap for the record. I think there is a considerable gap between DX and the NWO. And that may be a controversial statement. Fine. I'm here for it. The NWO, to me, the best part about the NWO was that it was so unthinkable. The Hogan aspect of it was so unthinkable because Hogan was beloved. Hogan was the good guy. Hogan was Superman. And then one night in 1996, he delivered a leg drop that changed wrestling. It did. And then the black and white, and then you had the Wolf Pack that kind of split off from that. Tons and tons and tons of members. I could go for days. But obviously the three were Hogan, Kevin Nash, and Scott Hall. And Kevin Nash and Scott Hall as a tag team were known as the Outsiders. And I just there were so many guys that were a part of the NWO that were key parts of it. The Steiner was part of the Sting was part of the NWO for a minute. I mean, the things that they did in WCW, again, edgy television. Like they had to compete with what DX was doing. And for a long time, they not only competed, they beat what was happening in the WWF at the time, almost to the point that they almost won the Monday Night Wars. If not for Austin and The Rock, they probably would have. But the NWO was revolutionary. It's the same thing as DX, different company. But that doesn't I don't want anybody to get it twisted. That doesn't diminish their impact on the wrestling business. Like when you think of WCW, to me, you think of three things. When I think of WCW, three names immediately pop in my head. Immediately. Goldberg, Sting, and the NWO. Like that was WCW to me. And so DX and the NWO, Evolution, for all the reasons you said, Evolution is on my Mount Rushmore of factions. You mentioned, and I'll be brief with Evolution because you touched on everything. You described it perfectly. I will mention one thing for the viewers at home. If you really want to know how good Evolution was and how underrated and how slept on, it is criminal how under I could easily have Evolution above the NWO. You mentioned the Four Horsemen and all of their members. How many world titles did all of the Four Horsemen have combined?
They had 50 world titles combined.
50, right? But the Four Horsemen was like 8 or 9 people, right?
Correct.
Evolution between Triple H, Ric Flair, Randy Orton, and Batista. 4 guys, 49 world titles. 49. If that doesn't make a Rushmore list, we really need to rethink this stuff. Okay? 49. That's dominance. That's changing the business, is what that is. So DX, NWO, and Evolution. I guess it's got to be the Four Horsemen. I am not a Hart Foundation guy because I'm not a Bret Hart guy. Maybe that's because I'm a Shawn Michaels guy, but I've never. I'm not saying the Hart Foundation wasn't great. They were great, but yeah, I mean, it has to be for all the reasons you made. You touched, I mean, you in great detail described the Four Horsemen. If not for those guys, we wouldn't have what we've mentioned in these lists. None of them would exist. So but when I think of the Four Horsemen, I think Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, and J.J. Dillon.
Yeah.
Those for me, I mean, Barry Windham was a horseman, but to me, those are the four that my mind immediately goes to. Um, but yeah, so DX, the NWO, Evolution, and the Four Horsemen. That would be my factions list, and then tag teams are the Dudleys, Hardys, Edge and Christian, and LOD. So
This is not easy to do.
it is
It's
not.
hard because with I want everyone at home who's listening or who is in their car, if you're a wrestling fan, you know how difficult it is to pick your favorite. It's like going to the store and expecting to buy your favorite candy bar, and there's millions of different favorite candy bars, and you're stuck.
Yeah. So I'm gonna make a quick correction. You see that this is what this does to me. I'm going to make a quick correction on my factions list, and this is gonna stir the pot. Okay, but I truly believe this. I'm going to remove the Four Horsemen, and I'm going to insert the Bloodline.
Ooh, bring it home, brother. Let's go.
Because I think, and again, another big statement, I think the Bloodline, and I'm talking about the original blood, like the whole bloodline,
Yeah.
but I'm talking Roman Reigns, the Usos, that bloodline. The story that was told over the last 3 or 4 years of the bloodline and is still being told. But the story behind all of it and the Rock's involvement and Roman Reigns becoming what Roman Reigns has become. I mean, who'd have ever thought that the fourth longest reign in the history of wrestling as the world champion, Roman Reigns? Nobody. And so the story that was told, Sami Zayn's involvement, Sammy Uso, like that was so that was awesome. Like I would you see, but now you got my mind running. Yeah, I like my list. DX, the NWO, Evolution, and the Bloodline, but I will throw one more name in there that I think deserves to be mentioned, and that's the Shield.
Mm,
I think when you talk about factions, you want to talk about three guys that came out of nowhere and kind of changed the trajectory of the business. The Shield did. And oh god, I could go for days with this. But yeah, that would be I insert the bloodline. One
you're not wrong about the bloodline though.
I,
They
I
did they did carry the World Wrestling Entertainment through COVID. And if
yeah,
a
that's a
lot
big
of yes, if a lot of you grew up watching wrestling when COVID-19 happened in 2020 and the entire world shut down, so did all of sports.
yep.
And if you're too young to know anything about this, everything shut down. That included the World Wrestling Entertainment. They were doing wrestling at the Performance Center.
Oh
Triple
fan.
H was doing everything. He was even
Yeah,
doing makeup.
yep.
He was
He
doing
was.
commentary. He was doing the cameras, everything. The bloodline carried us through COVID-19.
That's a big deal. That's a great point, actually. That's a huge deal. Thank you for validating my choice.
You're welcome. Even
I,
though the
I like.
horsemen are the
Yeah, I
horsemen.
know. It's hard to leave anything that's got flair involved in it off of it's like
Absolutely.
you said. It's hard to leave flair off of any list. But I love the story. That the horseman to me was just, you know, four, five, six, seven guys that just were such great wrestlers. Like, what do all those guys have in common? Flair, and like Malenko. Malenko was an amazing wrestler. I'm again,
The elephant in the
don't
room, Chris
don't
Benoit.
don't crucify me here, but
Yeah.
and I'm sure we will discuss the Benoit thing at some point on this podcast. I feel like we have to. Maybe a good thing to discuss, but say whatever we want about Benoit, and I certainly do not see now. Godly, I don't want to go on and on, but I don't defend him in any way, okay? But the guy in the ring was amazing. And we could say whatever we want about him. That dude was amazing in the ring.
Look, we do not condone what he did,
Oh
and we will
God.
discuss that at some point in this podcast.
Yeah.
We do
Yeah.
not condone it.
No.
Absolutely not. But the man was who he was in the
Dude
ring.
was legit. Like dude was legit one of the best wrestlers ever.
Go
Like
back and watch some of his old matches.
we're just talking about wrestling. It's just strictly wrestling. Dude was unreal. Like, but that's what all of the horsemen have in common. Is they're just incredible wrestlers. There was no like backstory, family oriented. The bloodline literally is a bloodline outside of Sammy, obviously. But like the whole story there. And you, I mean, you put the nail in the coffin with the COVID thing. Like it 100% true. Like, yeah, that would be my list of Jericho would be those four factions.
Bloodline. You just made the list.
Made the list. That's right. None of you other stupid idiots.
Nobody else made the list.
Yeah, you stupid idiot. But yeah, that would be my list.
That's it for this episode of Chair Two Face Podcast. Glad everybody joined in. I just thought I'd shout out next time we will be getting together and making another episode now that WrestleMania is there. We're in full swing.
Yep.
The next Rushmore is going to really knock your socks off, ladies and gentlemen. Get ready because it took a lot for me to make it. I've been watching a lot of WrestleMania the past week. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, put your thoughts into the comments
Please
wherever
do.
it's at on YouTube. Put them in there. We want
Please.
to know
Yeah.
how you guys feel. And if we've offended you, we want to know so that we can have a wonderful conversation about wrestling with you. Because why not?
And if you're not down with that,
We got 2 words for you. Everybody have a great night.